Welcome to the second workshop dedicated to artificial intelligence. I'm very glad we're meeting again because today we're going to take practical use of AI to the next level, a brief retrospective. In the previous meeting, we laid the foundations, discussed what AI is, what large language models, LLMs are, got to know the most important tools, and touched on the topic of ethics. We built a common language and understanding that AI is a tool that already supports us in the work of patient organizations today. Now we will take it a step further and focus on the most important skill when working with AI, writing effective commands or prompts. A prompt is simply the text we enter into the AI to get a response. You could also say that it's a command, but the secret is that the way we ask questions has a huge impact on what we get in return. When I first started using GPT, I was convinced that it was enough to just type a short phrase, like write me a text about asthma, and I would get something useful. I quickly discovered that the answer was correct, but very general. It lacked emotion and wasn't tailored to the needs of patients. It was only when I started experimenting with more precise prompts, for example, write in simple language, 150 words for a patient over 60 in a supportive tone. That was a breakthrough moment. I realized that AI works as well as we communicate with it. Why is this important for you? Because as patient organizations, you create content that needs to be clear and understandable for very different groups of recipients. Because your time is limited and AI can save it if you guide it well. Because patients deserve communication that is clear, supportive, and tailored to their real needs. And AI can be our partner in this, but only if we learn to tell it exactly what we expect. Think for a moment about how you usually use an internet search engine. Do you type in a single word or rather a whole question? The more precisely we formulate our query, the better matched results we get. It's similar with AI, but the difference is that AI can not only find information, but also organize it, process it, and create something entirely new. In a moment, we'll answer the question, what exactly is a prompt and why is it so important? I'll show you how two different prompts, a simple one and a more developed one, can produce completely different results and how this can actually help your patients better understand health information. Before we learn how to write great prompts, let's answer a basic question. What exactly is a prompt? A prompt is an instruction for artificial intelligence. It's the bridge between what we want to achieve and what the model is able to generate. In other words, a prompt is the way we communicate with AI. Why does it matter? If we give the AI a command that's too general, we'll get a general answer. If we specify the context, purpose, tone, and format, the response will be much more tailored. A simple example. Prompt, write something about asthma. In response, we'll get a general textbook-like text, rather boring and not very precise. However, if we use a more advanced prompt, for example, write an educational text about asthma in simple language for patients age 60 plus, 150 characters long, with a supportive tone, then the response will be a specific warm text that a 60 plus patient will read with interest and understanding. This shows one thing, AI works as well as we are able to guide it, meaning as well as we are able to prompt it. Why is this especially important in the work of patient organizations? Because many patients have difficulty understanding complicated medical content. Because your materials need to be understandable for different age, language, and cultural groups. Because good communication is not just about presenting facts, but also about providing emotional support and motivation. According to research, patients with limited digital skills understand health information up to 42% better when it is written in simple language. So, prompting is not just a technical trick. It's real help for patients and members of your organizations. Imagine you ask AI, prepare a poster about healthy eating. What will you get? Most likely some generic slogans. Now try adding, for teenagers with humor inspired by TikTok trends. A maximum of 5 slogans. The result? Content that really resonates with the audience. It's a bit like in movies about genies in a lamp. The genie grants wishes, but exactly as we phrase them. If we're not precise enough, the result can be disappointing. It's similar with AI. The better we formulate the prompt, the better and more magically impressive the answer we'll get. In a moment, I'll present to you 5 simple rules for effective prompting. This will be your foundation. These are 5 golden rules that will help turn AI into a true assistant, not just a technological curiosity. Now that we know that a prompt is an instruction for AI and that it matters greatly, it's time to learn the 5 most important rules for effective prompting. These are our golden rules that will make AI a true partner for you. The first rule is context. Always tell the AI who the text is for. A piece of material will look different for a patient, different for a doctor, and yet another way for a journalist or decision maker. An example: create a leaflet for patients with type 2 diabetes using simple language with 3 dietary tips. The result? The AI writes in a way that matches the audience, not in an encyclopedic style. Now think about who most often uses your materials. Patients, the patient's families, maybe the media. Write down this target group because in your prompts, this will be your first hint for the AI, indicating who you are speaking to. The second rule is the goal. The AI needs to know exactly what you expect from it. Summaries, lists of questions, campaign proposals, translations. Clearly define what the task is. An example: give 5 survey questions for patients with COPD. The result? The AI won't guess. It will deliver exactly what you need. A friend of mine once used a prompt like, write something interesting about health. The AI wrote a long essay on the history of medicine. Why? Because there was no clearly defined goal. When just a few words were added, for Facebook, 5 short posts, supportive language, the result was incomparably better. The third rule is format. Specify the form in which you want to receive the content. For example, a bullet point list, a short paragraph, a table, or 100 words. An example could be a prompt like, summarize the report in 5 points. Use simple language. The result? The answer is organized and easy to use. It's a bit like a cooking show. You can ask for dinner, or you can ask for a light pasta dish that can be prepared in 20 minutes and is vegetarian. The better we specify the format, the better the AI will cook up content for us. The fourth rule is tone and style. The content can be formal, empathetic, youthful, supportive, or even official. AI can adjust the tone to the audience. An example: write a Facebook post about patient rights in a warm, supportive tone. The result? The text sounds friendly, not like a piece of legislation. Imagine you want to reach teenagers. Would you write a leaflet the same way as for seniors? Of course not. And that's exactly what AI can do. It can change its style depending on how we ask and who we're speaking to. The fifth rule is iteration. This is the most important rule. Don't settle for the first answer. AI is a conversation partner. If the result isn't perfect, adjust your prompt and try again. For example, is the first answer too general? Okay, add. Include an example from patients' everyday life. Is the second answer still too long? Add a maximum of 100 words. And so step by step, you refine the content you get from artificial intelligence. At first, I felt that AI should just know what I meant on its own. It was only later that I realized I have to be precise and treat this conversation as a collaboration. It's like editing a text together with a teammate. You revise, clarify, until the result is really good. So, to sum up, here are the 5 rules for prompting: context, purpose, format, tone and style, and iteration. Remember these 5 words because they are your keys to effective communication with AI. In a moment, we'll show practical examples of applying these rules in work for patient organizations, from leaflets through social campaigns to translations and report summaries. Theory is one thing, but the most important question is, how do you prompt effectively to help yourself in your daily work for patient organizations? Let's take a look at a few specific scenarios. Scenario 1, writing educational materials. A simple prompt. Write a short leaflet for patients with COPD in plain language, including the 3 most important treatment tips. We get a short text, but it's rather general. If we use a more detailed prompt, for example, write a short leaflet for COPD patients in plain language with the 3 most important treatment tips. Use information from the attached PDF document and emphasize the special importance of regular checkup visits. With such a prompt, we get a text that is not only simple, but also factually consistent with the source document. Imagine you have to prepare a leaflet for patients today because the campaign starts tomorrow. How much time would it take you to gather the materials and simplify them? With AI, it's a matter of minutes, not days. Second scenario, generating ideas for a campaign. An example of a simple prompt. Give 5 ideas for a social campaign about patient rights aimed at young audiences on social media. Generating ideas for a campaign. An example of a simple prompt: give 5 ideas for a social campaign about patient rights aimed at young audiences on social media. The result? A list of rather classic slogans. If we use an expanded prompt, it might look like this: give 5 ideas for a social campaign about patient rights aimed at young audiences on social media. Mark? The result? Get inspired by TikTok trends. Add examples of slogans and suggest what graphics or photos could accompany these ideas. As a result, we get fresh, creative ideas with examples of graphics and language that truly resonate with young people. It's a bit like the difference between a flyer from the 90s and a viral hit on TikTok. The same topic, but a completely different medium, so different cultural codes. Scenario 3 is translations and content localization. An example of a simple prompt: translate this text about asthma into Greek using simple language and keep the medical terms. Result: a correct translation. If we use a more elaborate prompt, for example, translate this text about asthma into Greek. Use simple language and keep the medical terms. Adapt the translation for patients age 50 plus who do not have advanced digital skills. At the end, add a short motivational slogan in Greek. Result: the translation is not only linguistically correct, but also culturally and age appropriate. Think about the patients you work with. Do the materials in their native language always sound natural? AI can help take care of this detail. Scenario 4. Summaries. Simple prompt: summarize an article about rare diseases in 5 points using simple language for patients. Result: a short, simple description. Prompt expanded. Summarize an article about rare diseases in 5 points using simple language for patients. Highlight the most important practical information for people who may not have time to read the entire text. At the end, add a short summary in 2 sentences with the key message. Result: a practical, friendly text with a strong takeaway for the patient. I've seen myself more than once how patients give up reading after just a few pages. An AI-generated summary is a real energy saver and increases the chance that someone will actually absorb the key information. Scenario 5. Working with visual materials or attachments. Prompt: prepare a description of a photo showing a patient using an inhaler. The description should be simple, supportive, and educational so that it can be used on Facebook. Pay attention to the correct use of the device. Result: a description ready to use on social media. Or, based on the attached PDF document, prepare a summary in Polish in a question and answer format. Question, answer. A maximum of 10 questions and answers. Result: educational material that a patient can read in 2 or 3 minutes instead of an hour. And an additional tip: you can attach documents, screenshots, or reports to your prompts. There are so-called heavy AI users who write prompts that are several pages long. But remember, it's not about length, it's about precision. To sum up, AI speeds up writing, translating, summarizing, and creating visual content. The biggest difference between simple prompting and advanced prompting is the level of customization for the audience. The better we define our expectations, the more AI will become our true assistant. Now that you know how to write good prompts and how to use them in your daily work, it's time to mention one tool that I especially recommend for those working in patient organizations. I'm talking about Perplexity AI. What is Perplexity? It's a tool that combines the power of large language models with an internet search engine and, most importantly, always provides the sources of its information. This is a huge advantage because most AI tools can create great sounding content, but they don't show where it comes from. A practical example? Prompt: what are the current patient rights in Romania? Provide sources. Perplexity responds not only with a summary, but also with links to official documents and government websites. This means you can prepare reports, statements, or leaflets, knowing for sure that you have verified sources. Why is this so important? In advocacy and educational work, it's not just the content that matters, but also credibility. When we reference sources, we build trust among patients, doctors, and decision makers. Research fact: the WHO reports that AI can detect health misinformation on average 2.5 days before it starts circulating on social media. Thanks to tools like Perplexity, you can respond faster, debunk fake news, and protect patients from harmful content. Imagine that tomorrow you have a meeting with a decision maker and you need to prepare a list of the latest regulations regarding the treatment of rare diseases. How much time would it take you to gather such documents using traditional methods? Now imagine that Perplexity does this in just a few minutes and immediately provides you with links to the sources. This changes the game. The first time I used Perplexity, I was surprised that AI could immediately show where it got such information from. That was the moment when I thought, this tool can really make it easier to fight disinformation. In superhero movies, the hero often has a computer assistant who provides them with data and sources in real time, like Jarvis in Iron Man. Perplexity works a bit like Jarvis. It not only tells you things, but also shows where the information comes from. So let's sum up this section. Perplexity combines AI with a search engine and always provides sources. This is a huge support in advocacy and educational work. Thanks to it, you can respond to disinformation more quickly and prepare materials based on reliable data. In a moment, we will summarize all the rules, examples, and tools from today's workshop. You'll see that effective prompting isn't magic, but a skill that each of you can master and use in your daily work. It's time to sum up what we've learned today about prompting and effective communication with AI. The most important takeaways from the workshop: good prompts are the key to effective work with AI. We learned about 5 principles that are fundamental: context, goal, format, tone, and iteration. We saw how these principles work in practice, from educational leaflets through social campaigns to translations and report summaries. We learned that a simple prompt gives a general result, while a more developed prompt produces an outcome truly tailored to the audience. You also got to know the tool Perplexity.ai, which provides additional value, namely sources and credibility, which are so important when working for patient organizations. When I started working with AI, I treated it like a search engine. It was only over time that I realized it's a conversation partner and that I can negotiate, correct, and clarify with it rather than settling for the first answer. And it's exactly the same as in relationships with people. The better we communicate, the better results we get. Think about one communication challenge you have in your organization. Now imagine you have an hour to ask AI for help in solving it. What would your first prompt be? Write it down and try it out after the workshop. At the next meeting, we'll go even further. We will focus on more advanced uses of AI. How do you write newsletters and reports? How do you avoid hallucinations and use additional tools for fact-checking? This will be a pro-user level, but don't worry, we'll go step by step. Thank you for your attention and openness. I hope that after this workshop, you'll see prompts not as magic spells, but as practical tools for communication. AI will not replace your knowledge and experience. It also won't replace humans, but it can be a tremendous support in your daily work. See you at the next meeting.